Spring is in the air at Global Voice Broadcasting. Fresh new shows are hitting the airwaves every day. Shows about all the things that matter to you in your life. Music, fashion, celebs, and more. It's all here, and it's getting better every day. Only at Global Voice Broadcasting. Welcome to the world of Cabarabia, the world where Broadway, jazz, comedy, and pop share the spotlight, and a 2-drink minimum. With your host, producer, director, Clifford Bell, keeping the world safe for live performances in intimate settings on Global Voice Broadcasting.
And welcome back. Welcome back to Cabarabia here on Global Voice Broadcasting, my weekly rumination on all things relevant to the nightclub experience. And I'm positively giddy today because of my in-studio guest with me. We have one of my favorite people in the world. I've known this woman now for... Let's see, it's 13 years ago. 13 years ago this period. Actually, I'm going to talk about that in just a second. But please welcome to KERI KELSEY, my in-studio guest today.
Thank you,
Who I like to think of as the unofficial Goodwill ambassador of the Los Angeles cabaret community.
That's the sweetest thing that you could ever say, really.
I consider it true. You are Madam Sunshine to us here, the denizens of the Cabarabia experience.
I like
that. It's funny. I was thinking about all the various things I want to talk to you about, and there are so many. But the cabaret community kind of functions on two levels in terms of there is what goes on in it artistically and all the various people pursuing careers, pursuing artistic careers, commercial careers, making records, being on TV, touring, all that stuff. But there's also another big dynamic that's a big part of people's lives. There are also huge relationships that are formed over the years. When we say it's a cabaret community, it's not just that the singers and the performances and the shows and the musicians and stuff that happens. Really major friendships are formed, and marriages and babies and all sorts of things go on. But KERI is, I've always given her the distinction of she really is one of the tallest trees in the forest of our Los Angeles cabaret community. She's extremely popular, extremely well liked. She runs a Tuesday night singers open mic at the Gardenia, which you've done now for how many years?
I think it's coming a solo.
Yeah.
I took it over completely. I think 5 years ago. We were trying to figure that out.
Right.
Elliot always tells me I'm wrong because I always think it's 4 years. But I've been actually doing it, co-hosting and filling in for 13 of the 14 years we've been going.
Yeah. July will be 14 from the original.
That's right.
And we'll talk about all that later. But, I wanted to bring that up because KERI, when I say Goodwill ambassador, I really mean that very accurately because since she's taken it over, she has her newsletter. They have a birthday procedure that they go to. There's a Facebook page where everybody gets on before they're going. I'm coming tonight with this song, and I'm coming to this time tonight wearing this dress, and I'm coming tonight and my cousin from Nebraska, and KERI's on there, and then the day when the show's over, everybody's like, my cousin from Nebraska said, and
okay, you make it sound really boring.
No, it's fantastic. I love it.
Kind of shoved into social media. Dennis McNeil very sweetly started, a fabulous singer, started the Facebook page, and I always get nervous about stuff like that because I don't like arguments, controversy, anything. But it hasn't been that way at all. It's been very much my cousin from Nebraska is coming, we keep the Cabaret West page for posting shows and things like that. This is just strictly for us to talk about the open mic because we really are very much a family.
Right.
And that's what drew me to this community. That's what I love about this community. And so it was perfect, for us to talk about stuff, tease each other. It doesn't necessarily always have to do with Tuesday nights. It's just us and what's going on in our lives.
Right. So I wanted to have my whole 50 minutes with you today because I wanted people to know who you are in terms of your role as the ambassador of the Tuesday nights, but also outside of that as well, your various individual pursuits. So let's start out with a few pictures here. Gabe, would you show the first photo? When I first met KERI, we did a show together. I directed her, I guess it was your first cabaret show, wasn't it?
It definitely was, yeah.
And we went to this really fabulous photographer named Mark Burnt, a really brilliant, talented guy who actually comes from the advertising world. He was no headshot photographer. He was quite an artist. Yeah. And he did these gorgeous pictures for KERI. That was one. There's another one. Somebody
actually just zoomed in on that one because his were all more artsy. I had seen your CD that you produced for Betsy Ann. Exactly. And I was like, who did that?
Artwork. Yeah. So and that was Mark. Mark was a friend of Betsy Ann's and continues to be. I worked with Mark recently.
That's my backyard.
That is your backyard. Right. Which, KERI, let's see. I asked her, like, how careful do I have to be about saying things? But this is such a big part of your kind of offbeat identity, is that for many years KERI was married to a man who's like a very famous trapeze artist. And you had in your home, I guess it's still there, although you no longer live there because they're divorced, but in the home, a big trapeze setup that, like, you'd be talking to KERI and she's like, Jodie Foster's in the living room. I'll be right back. So tell us a little bit about that.
My offbeat background.
Yes,
that sounds
indeed.
Funny. This is a very rare picture because I prefer to stay on the ground, which is why when we traveled with the circus, I sold popcorn. But I met Richie. I had gone to college with his brother, and I met him when he was at the Big Apple Circus. And so we took off traveling with, literally, I knew him, I say 6 months. It was not quite 6 months, actually not even close, that we got married and I was traveling with Big Apple. But because I had gone to college with his brother and knew him so well, Jose and I are still very, very good friends. It felt, you skip over all that, are anybody in your family mass murderers? Are you, right. You kind of feel like you already know him. And I fell in love with the show. When I went to see the show, I went to visit Jose, and I had never seen a one-ring European-style circus, and they invited me to come to this big gala that they were having where all these soap stars come, and so now it's huge celebrities. And it was, like $100 tickets, and I went, I'm a starving New Yorker. I have to sit through the circus, but hey, it was free dinner and dancing afterwards. And that night, I met him before I went into the circus and saw the show, and it was very much a theatrical piece with the one-ring European style, totally different. Fell in love with that. Fell in love with the trailers, fell in love with Trailer Row. It was right next to Lincoln Center in New York, and I was like, this will be fun.
And you ran away with the circus.
And he was wearing tights. Oh. It was a straight man wearing tights.
Not something usually a girl looks for, but...
Yeah, but, I always like dancers. This was,
all right.
different.
There's another picture from the circus world here.
Oh, my son.
Oh, right.
Making his circus debut with the Big Apple Circus.
That's hilarious.
He was... 4.5 months old? No, about 5 months, 6 months there, I think, yeah. That was his, we were at Boston at the Children's Museum, and all of the kids came out dressed in their parents' costumes that night.
All right, so let's sort of back up to again. So now I wanted to say, I remember the minute I meet almost everybody that I've ever met that's been a significant person in my life. I have this weird Mary Lou Henner
Mary. I was going to say that. Your dates, like your freaky Mary Lou Henner brain.
That. Yeah. And I met you in the lobby at Royce Hall. We were there to see Andrea Marcovici doing her Our Songs concert.
It was her modern stuff.
Yeah, I was with Betsy Ann Fiala, and you tapped me on the shoulder, and you said, "Are you Clifford Bell?" And I probably said, "What's left of her?" That's what I usually say. And you said that you had signed up for the class that we were going to do at the Cinegirl. J.D. Kessler and Michael Orland and I used to teach a class at the Cinegirl, and you had signed up for it.
Right.
So, and I remember like it was yesterday, standing in that lobby and then getting on the elevator. And that was March 24th, 2001. So that was 13 years ago right now.
Great.
And the reason why I wanted to have you as my guest today is that we began that class, which was our first time of actually working together, on Cinco de Mayo, the 5th of May, 2001. Gabe, will you hit us with that picture?
I thought it was because I was married to a Mexican.
This is the act for that. This is the ad for that group, and then the next picture I think was over the course of that class, we actually lost the Cinegrill. The Cinegrill was closed, and so we moved the classroom over to Maskers, and we had the first anniversary performance there at Maskers.
Look at all those names.
I know.
Where's
it's crazy,
Byron?
Huh? I know. I haven't heard anything from Byron. Mary Pat and I are still very close. Andrea Press and I are still very close. A lot of those people are still around. Facebook.
Vicky Dummer. I see Vicky ever so often.
Yeah. And all right. And then the next picture. Let's see. I think you have one before that, but we'll talk about this one. This is KERI performing at last year's anniversary benefit. It wasn't a benefit. It wasn't an anniversary of the class, but the class was a sort of launching pad to having people guest star in my Cabarabia spotlights, which KERI has done a few times, and we had the 13th anniversary of that last year at MBAR. And look at that skirt, girl!
I love that skirt. I saw somebody was wearing it on Nashville. A backup
really?
singer. Yeah.
You don't have another KERI at Catalina picture? Oh, okay, I had another one. Anyway, so then the next picture is the open mic. So here's a graphic I found promoting the open mic. Who did that? And look at that skirt.
Who did that? I don't know, because that was the same. I have no idea, because that was Les Michaels pulled that graphic from ages ago for my Darren show when I was doing it in Palm Springs, and somebody made it into an open mic one. I have no idea, but that's nice.
All right.
Thank you. I don't know. Maybe Les did that one too.
All right. Well, I want to show a little clip. I found this nice clip of you singing Ann Hampton Callaway's music. And before we do that, tell me a little bit about your musical director, because I know that he has been a big a partner for you.
The musical director for this?
Yeah, the clip. Where
right. Todd Schroeder played this Tuesday. You know, when I first started coming to the open mic, Todd Schroeder was playing a lot, and he's fabulous, huge, big personality. I love the way he played. I had been working with Mel Dangsel and loved the way Mel played, and they couldn't be more different. But when I started working with Todd, actually Deborah Downey was doing her show, and Deborah Downey would ask me to guest. So I would go and rehearse with Todd, and we really had a great chemistry. What I hear all the time is, you're so much fun to watch, mostly because he's harassing me so horribly at the open mic, and they think that's fun to watch. So, but he's we just had a really easy chemistry working together. And after years and years and years of sitting at every Tuesday night listening to 30 or so singers, not having the stand moved out of the way, or sometimes I do that for them, or just these little things that I was thinking, oh my gosh, this would be so much more enjoyable if they would do this or if they would do that. I talked to him about doing a class together, because his arrangements are brilliant, his ideas are brilliant. I knew that I could offer all of these little tips about this will make it better if you get the stand out of the way so we can see you, and if you put the mic here. And
move the stand here and wear sequins.
Right, exactly. Thank you.
KERI's
and bronzer.
Conjure. Oh, I didn't know you'd moved on to bronzer.
Oh, absolutely. So you don't have the white legs in the spotlight.
That's funny.
It's on my notes. And so and then we became really good friends too. So we've been friends for a long time. So he played Tuesday. We don't get him very often anymore because he's off touring with Sam Harris and la-di-da-di-da, all the fabulous people.
La-di-da-di-da.
So he's in the la-di-da world. So, but he played Tuesday for us, and so we did the song that we had done in the first show you directed. It's from last Tuesday night.
Oh, okay.
I think it's music, right?
Yeah, and Todd was the musical director when you and I did, when we put your first act together.
Exactly.
So here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the open mic on Tuesday nights. Please welcome your hostess with the masters, KERI Kelsey.
All the most is out tonight. Todd Schroeder is with us this evening. Keep going for a minute.
Oh, there we go.
I can't keep it up the whole time. That's the bad part about the end. You have to keep it going. How do I begin to find the words that speak my mind. I look at you and I am blinded by music. You laugh at all the thousand ways I've tried to find to sing your praise. I think it's gonna take days and days of music. And you feel it start with the rhythm of my heart. It keeps on beating the samba melody. What a thrill! I'm gonna take you to Brazil, where the music will be as happy as you may be. Quoting Shakespeare works for some, but William is just too hard to hum. I've got a bass, I've got a drum, I've got music.
Piano.
I've searched in over 50 states for that turn of phrase that celebrates, but nothing can beat my 88s. I've got music. When I see your face, how my heart begins to race, and I feel the surge of samba start to play. So for all your charms, let the music be my arms. Let the melody lift and carry you away. Take it away, Mr. Schroeder. I learned this from the birds and bees. The truth is told in harmonies. Invented my soliloquies. Now there's music. Here's my heart, so come on in. The walls come down just like Berlin. Let our great duet begin without music. Can you feel it start with the rhythm of my heart? It keeps on beating the samba melody. So for all your charms, let the music be my arms. Let the melody lift and carry you away. Carry you away.
All right. Good job, girl.
Thank you.
I love that song. I love
I
that song so
love
much,
that
and you
song.
sound great.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed that clip. That was just a couple nights ago.
It was, and Todd infuses the night with such an energy because he's so.
He's
the
quite
way
a
he's-
showman, that Todd.
He is, and the way
So
he
talented.
says my name really loud and
Oh,
stuff,
yeah,
it
yeah,
sets a
yeah.
whole different tone.
Yeah.
Every
He's-
week's different.
Yeah. Gabe was able to find the picture I wanted to show. Mostly I wanted to show this just because there you are at another one of my anniversary nights. This was the 12th.
With another skirt.
Well, that was my point. This is over at Catalina's, and Carrie. Carrie is in the tradition of what people call entertainers. Like, she's one of those like throw on the fedora and do the sequins and the fringe skirts and the go-go boots and all of that, and she likes to do big up, funny, showy things. And when I last worked with Carrie and wanted her to come do a variety thing, she's like, I have things from my Bobby Darin act I want to do, and I'm like, I want you to do that song you did about the being in love with a deaf person, which is from Charles Aznavour's Quiet Love. And she's like, oh, I don't want to do ballet. I said, Keri, she does this so incredibly magically. And I'm kicking myself because my guy who helps me with pulling clips together has been working in New York all week, and I could not get it on this clip. So I'm going to show it on another show, and I'm going to make everybody watch it then.
The one I have is VHS, literally. That's
right. But Keri does the most exquisite performance of Charles Aznavour's Quiet Love. It's my favorite thing you've ever done by far. As much as everybody else loves you as the crowd pleaser, funny, showy stuff, when you did that just simple thing, you could have heard a pin drop. It was so incredibly beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, you wouldn't let me ever sing anything else. But to be fair, I can't open an open mic with that. It wouldn't really set the right tone.
If they understood art, it would. If they knew what they were there for as cabaret performers, they would understand.
As a joke, I opened with Good Morning Heartache one time just to show everybody what it's like when we get too ballad heavy. And I did it a cappella, and it was like, it was a weird moment.
It's like when Karen Feynman wanted to start her show with Stairway to Paradise. Seriously, and we're dying a stairway to heaven. No, Stairway to Heaven.
I was going to say, wait a minute, I don't know that song.
Stairway to Heaven. And everybody's like, she's like, kidding.
I didn't even know it had lyrics.
Oh, it does, yeah. Oh. Anyway, blah-dee-dee, blah, blah, blah. So I want to talk about Tuesday night, because it is kind of a force in the community what goes on over there, and
before you skip over to the Tuesday night, I did want to say about the Charles Aznavour. That started because I went to school to be a sign language interpreter, which one of the reasons that's so weird too is because people never associate me with silence of any kind whatsoever. But it is still talking. It's just a different way of talking. But you ask if I had anything to promote, and I do want to mention that I'm still on the board of Deaf West Theater, which people should check out because it is we have a production going right now called Jealousy.
Now, what got you interested in that?
Sign language. In college, National Theater of the Deaf came to visit my school, and my mother had already been teaching music to deaf children, and a lot of in a special ed school, a lot of different kids, and it fascinated me when National Theater of the Deaf came. I went, there's no language that I've ever seen that's more theatrical than this. But at the time, they had one hearing man, one hearing woman. And I'm like, it's hard enough to get a job as an actor, let alone if there's one, and I don't even know the language yet. But it was always in my mind. And so when my son started getting older and I was looking for things to do, I was taking all these community classes. Tennis, I spend the entire hour picking up balls. I'm terrible. I did golf, which was a whole another kind of balls, which I was better at. And then I took the sign language class, and I was like, oh. And then I just, in order to take a second half, I had to continue with regular school at Pierce. That's what I did. So, loved it.
Very interesting. So, which brings us to, let's go back to how you first got involved in cabaret. You were telling me the story about your mom at the beauty parlor.
Yeah, we were at the beauty salon, and do they still call them that? Beauty
salon, parlor.
Is that a Southern expression?
I pretty much just tapped out at 1983. I haven't really had a new thought since 1983.
We were at the hair place,
so.
And there was
we were at the hair place.
There was an article in the LA Times about cabaret, and my mother looked at it, and literally this was during the time where I was looking for what I like to do. I had worked as a literary agent for 7.5 years. I was now not doing that and trying to sort of rediscover who I was, because I had forgotten, because I was busy with circus, I was busy with Stunt World. My son was doing stunts from the time he was 5. And somebody asked me, so what do you like to do? And literally I was stumped, which almost never happens. There was just silence, and I went, can I tell you next week? And I couldn't remember what I liked to do. And remembered that I liked dancing and started taking tango lessons. Totally forgot that I wasn't even allowed to be a brownie or a Girl Scout because it interfered with church choir practice, because my stepfather was the organist choir master at the church. So I don't know how I forgot that I had sung all my life, but I did. And so there was this article about cabaret, and my mother looked at it and said, this looks like what you've always wanted to do. And I thought, she's right. And I didn't know that it was called cabaret. I thought that was just the show. And I was going to take it with me, and I forgot about it. And about 2 weeks later, I went, oh, yeah, I want to take one of those classes. And I Googled it, or actually, I looked up LA Times and searched, and all these articles came up on cabaret, and I found it. And it was Pisha McPhee, an article about Pisha, and it just gave her name, Sherman Oaks, At the time, you could still call 411. So that's what I did, and found her number and asked if I could come in and audition for the class. And it was interesting because my son was starting school where her girls were going to school, and it was just sort of a perfect storm. And I went to audition, and when I started the class that night, Mel Dangsel was the musical director. I took in my Funny Valentine, and he said, just start singing. And I went, what do you mean just start singing? I never fit in the classical world. I never fit in musical theater. And I thought that you had to sing songs in the keys written. I had tons of sheet music that I had just bought and put away because I went, well, nobody can sing that. You know, that must be what he wanted the artist to sing, even though the artist didn't sing it in that key. I thought those chords were for guitars. I knew nothing about it. And I called my mother that night excited as could be. And then continued in the class and did a showcase, and kind of panicked with the showcase because I thought, okay, I've written this script, but what if somebody says something to me because I have friends coming? Am I allowed to vary from the script, or do I have to? And by the end of it, I went, I like this talking thing. This is kind of fun. By the second showcase,
she found her calling.
And I went, the second one, I thought, yeah, this singing's just getting in the way of my patter, which is why the open mic was helpful.
Really?
Then I discovered you.
And then you discovered me.
Did your class.
And all the good things in your life.
That's right.
Began.
My whole well, seriously, when we were doing these different showcases and benefits and things, one night your host didn't show up. And you said, Keri, will you do this for me? And I went, because you had seen something that I didn't even know existed. And I went, okay, and I happen to have index cards because that's what I write my patter on. So I went around to everybody, interviewing them, going, is there anything you want me to promote? And they would say no, and I'm the most boring person on the planet. And I love people and find them infinitely interesting.
Right.
I've never met a boring person. If you ask enough questions, which I did, and I was like, what? You don't realize that, you know, how fascinating this is, that you used to milk cows in Oklahoma, and that's fascinating to people. And so that was sort of the beginning of finding my niche. And I believe you said my goal is to make you something. I don't remember. Something about hosting.
Yeah, well, see.
That's right.
Listen, I can barely dress myself, but I have a very good eye for what people should ought to do.
Yes, you do.
I do.
You definitely do.
And you know, you are a very, very charming woman, and you bring that. You bring your love of people, and you bring your interest in people to what you do, and it's why you're so good at it. It's why you're so popular at it. It's why you've been achieved the great reputation you have for it.
Well, I call you Mr. Charm as well, too.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, very charming here. I'm laughing as I look over you. You know, I try to make little ghetto craft services for everybody that comes to the thing, you know, and I'm so not domestic. I'm completely the least domestic person you've ever met. But I like make little cheese plates, and I buy fruit, and some little chic chocolates and stuff. And, you know, nobody ever takes a bite. We live in Los Angeles. Nobody ever eats anything. So I always make these things, and nobody ever touches them.
Well, you don't want chocolate in your teeth when you come
So last night I call Keri and I say, okay, what will you eat? And she's like, well, you know me, I don't eat anything but hot tamales and brownies. And so I wish we'll have to post the picture later.
It's on my Facebook page.
I have a big martini glass filled with hot tamales, cut up brownies, and Peeps, because they're on sale for 49 cents at the.
But your presentation is stunning.
Immaculate.
It is.
Have I mentioned I'm homosexual?
My good friend Nicole from the Gardenia gave me a Patron bottle filled with hot tamales. I thought that was very clever.
Yeah, that's good.
But now I'm going to display them like this in my home in the martini glass.
Martini glass, yes. So at what point in your cabaret career did you discover the role of fashion?
I got cabaret, though. I like that. Just smush them together. It's faster that way.
Yeah, that's good.
Dizzy talk.
Since that is part of your reputation as well.
But you called it something insulting earlier. You called me...
And bugle beads.
You didn't say shockingly. You said startlingly.
Startlingly offbeat,
or something.
I
don't know what you said.
And you were completely offended, although...
I was, slightly. No, but I just think fashion should be fun. And when I started, another thing that I just loved about this genre when I started was... there was a reason to dress up, which in Los Angeles happens so seldom. And I love dressing up. Mostly I just don't like pants because they're uncomfortable. But so I found the back room at Loman's. I was already sort of a Loman's fan, and now it's gone, and it's very devastatingly sad. It's horrible.
You heard the shriek through Beverly
You
Hills
did.
when that happened.
I've moved on to other places, but I just found my eye constantly going, sparkle, sparkle. Oh my gosh. And so it just became, and when I started going to shows, you don't want to, it's like being a bride at a wedding. You don't want to go in and all sparkles to somebody's show, but you want to look nice. It's still like an excuse to dress up. So when I started hosting, I went, I can dress however I want.
I can wear my sparkles.
That's right. And I wear my sequin boots and I have a good time. It's just fun.
The way I remember that first happening over at Maskers, when we would do a bunch of different nights over at Maskers. I remember you backstage in that little dressing room, bringing out just, dress after dress of crazy. That I remember like a flesh-colored pink one that was all bugle beads or something.
Oh, yeah, my Maryland dress.
That was fabulous.
That was a Loman's back room.
Was
and now,
it?
okay, let's talk about the fact that you helped along those lines.
You
because
know I did,
we took a
girl.
Loman's shopping trip
Oh, you
for
know
you
I
to help
did.
me pick things out, and the whole trip was spent you giving me things that you really wanted to wear to try
Well,
on.
there's that. I'm also very impacted by, in one of Cher's old acts, she used to say, the one thing I've learned about show business is never work in the same dress for more than 8 minutes.
Exactly.
And so
I agree.
I feel like I've departed that wisdom to you.
We
somewhere along
connect
the
on
way.
that. And, I saw Cher when I was very young, and I used to buy Rona Barrett's Hollywood magazine just for the
Rona.
pictures of Cher's clothes. And just recently, I got to go to the Bob Mackie, what do you call
did.
it, storage area, and
Yeah.
meet
Worthy.
Rex, the other designer.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh, that was just nirvana,
Yes. I've done a lot of stuff over there.
heaven.
EC2. Elizabeth Courtney Costumes is what it's called.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
Because it's like
EC2.
hidden. It's not marked. It's not.
Actually, Rhett is who you mean. Rhett is.
Yes, Rex. What did I say?
Turner.
Rex. Yes. My friend was using a dress from there. and
My friend Minette LaChance, who people who follow the show know, they gave her a wedding dress and a bugle with this amazingly gorgeous, like topazy flesh kind of bugle bead wedding dress.
a reason to get married again,
And I was her maid of honor.
just to wear the
So,
dress.
Anyway, I'm going off track here today.
Oh,
you
well,
bring that
that's
out in
okay.
me.
We don't have to stay to that.
I'm
do
going
we?
to take a couple seconds here to do my little promo listings.
Okay.
We call this section 1001 Cabarabian Nights. I'm going to pimp out a few shows that I've been working on. Let's see. I go to New York next week.
Ooh.
I'm at the Laurie Beachman Theater on Sunday, May 11th, with my friend Lauren White and the Quinn Johnson Trio. It's going to be an excellent show. I'm very, very proud of. It'll be my very first time ever working at the Laurie Beachman at the Laurie Beachman Theater. I'm really excited about that, and that's May 11th, Mother's Day. And then next. Later that week, Joanne Tatham is starting a 4-night run at the Metropolitan Room with a show we worked on together called Soundtrack New York. Really beautiful show. I'm very, very proud of how it got put together. Very smart, very sexy, very sophisticated, amazing arrangements, mostly by Tamir Hendelman. And she got love letter reviews all over the place in New York, and it's going to run for 4 nights beginning Tuesday, May 13th at the Metropolitan Room. And then I put this, though that wasn't the right picture I wanted to put, but that's it. Lauren White, who I'm playing in New York on May 11th with, we're coming back to do Catalina's on Wednesday, May 21st. And we have special guests, Chambers Herbert Nellis and Dolores Scorsese, which is a package show we've done a few times. It's a really great entertainment. So that's Wednesday, May 21st. I put the wrong poster up, but you get the idea. Next, I'm currently working on a new show with a woman named Lorena Morrow, wonderful singer, that we're going to do on May 28th at the Catalina Jazz Club. And it's a tribute to Nancy Wilson called How Glad I Am, and musical director Steve Rollins and special guest vocalist Gary Brumberg. Going to be a really great night. And then on Thursday, May 29th, we do our next Beverly Mickens Party Pack. Beverly Mickens Party Pack is kind of an offbeat storytelling night with musical guests and stand-up comedy. And Beverly likes to say a little song, a little dance, a little seltzer down your pants. So it's a melting pot kind of eclectic show. And the only guest we have set up for confirmed sure for that night is Janet S. Blake,
Yay!
who is a member of Keri's posse.
One of my favorite gals.
All right. So back to you,
It's Brady
Keri.
Bunch screen again. I'm looking.
I know. I was laughing when Keri looked at the monitor. She goes, "Look, we're on the Brady Bunch," and she starts talking down to
Here's
little
the
Bobby
story.
down there. And I said to her, "I said, Keri, this is my 40th show. I've interviewed probably 55 people in this room, and you're the first person who said that. That's so funny."
Someone told me I had a unique perspective on things, which I also think
60s
was an insult, but I
clearly.
but I chose to look at it in a good way. No, I'm kidding. She was being nice.
So now you bust out every now and again and do your own full-length show.
I do.
Your most recent has been a Bobby Darin tribute.
That's
Gabe,
right.
Can you hit us with? This was a cute graphic I saw.
The same one.
There.
Oh yeah. That's actually Todd, but I took his head off and put Bobby's on.
Sue Molestar, poor Bobby Darin.
Right.
And I have a little bit of a demo. I'm just going to show the beginning of it because it's long, but hit us with a little demo from that.
Ladies and gentlemen, KERI KELSEY!
Go wild and shine no way your troubles dream with me. Up the lazy river where the robin song waits. A morning we roll along, there'll be blue skies above. Everyone's in love. Up the lazy river, how happy we'll be. Up the lazy river with me in the shade of the tree. Throw away your troubles, baby. Dream a dream of me. Splish splash, I was taking a bath. Without a movement, feeling the feeling. Oh yeah! Thank you guys for coming. Welcome. I think we're gonna have a good time. And again, we're gonna help ensure that. I would like to introduce right off the top the superb John Stewart on drums.
I'm going to cut that one short because I have a longer clip that's got a funny bit in it I wanted to share. So let's just let
Okay.
the clip do its thing.
If you could talk to the animals, just imagine it chatting with a chimp and chimpanzee. Imagine talking to a tiger, chatting with a cheetah. What a neat achievement it would be. If I could talk to the animals, learn all their languages, maybe take an animal degree. I'd study elephant and eagle, buffalo and beagle, alligator, guinea pig and flea. I would converse in polar bear and python, and I would curse in fluent kangaroo. If someone asked me, can you speak rhinoceros? I'd say, of course, Russ. Can't you? If I conferred with my furry friends, man to animal, think of the amazing repartee. If I could walk with the animals, talk with the animals, grunt and squeak and squawk with the animals, and they could talk to me. If I consulted with quadrupeds, think what fun we'd have asking over crocodiles for tea. Or maybe lunch for 2 or 3 lions, walruses or sea lions.
So what the hell, Keri?
I tell you one thing I learned for that: some dresses aren't made for drumming.
For drumming. I've had that experience.
That was not a sit-in dress. It was in a true indication of where I was headed in my life. At about 5 or 6, I guess, I had a huge crush on Buddy Rich. Go figure. And when those Neiman Marcus catalogs used to come out, and they had like dance lessons with Mitzi Gaynor or something.
Right.
One year they offered drum lessons with Buddy Rich.
Oh my God.
And I begged my parents for the $5,000 drum lesson with Buddy Rich.
They knew that was dangerous.
They
that they
said
were sending
no.
their young daughter off to that.
But oddly enough, I didn't get to do that. They said no. So it was always sort of stuck. And then, of course, Karen Carpenter comes along and all these people, and it's just something I'd always wanted to do.
I thought it was kind of like a Bobby Darin, Sammy Davis Jr. kind of moment. Like,
Exactly.
let me hop on the drums.
Exactly. And that's where it sort of inspired me to actually go for it, because I'd always wanted to do it. Just like there's a lot of instruments I wanted to take. But I thought when I started doing the Bobby Darin thing and I was researching him and I saw him playing drums and playing piano, I went, oh, well, now I have a good excuse to go take lessons.
So speaking of the Bobby Darin show, you're thinking about doing it again, yeah?
I am. What I want to do
plan.
is actually, I think it was Anne Carey Ford I saw years ago do a series of 4 shows, 4 different shows. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, how terrifying is that? And so when a lot of times when something terrifies me, I want to do it then just to accept trapeze and things like that. But I push myself to do that too. So I decided that that's what I'd like to do I don't have dates yet, but I'm looking at August, September, October, November. And, and that's right. I forgot, because I have the December show with Gilmore and Brian and Maggiano's. So that would be actually 5 shows in 5 months.
You're their guest at Maggiano's?
In December, a couple days after Christmas. But anyway, I decided that's what I want to do, so I'm going to do Bobby Darin again, probably as one of those, and then 2 brand new shows and 1 kind of revamped.
And you're going to resurrect ours.
I'm going to resurrect. I haven't decided yet if I should call it Everything Must Change, and still is changing, because it was Everything Must Change with us, or Sorority Girl Joins a Circus, or something. I'm not sure.
I've run off with the circus.
We used to say I'm running away from a circus to join a home.
Well, we're coming to the end of our time together, which is so sad for me.
It's sad for me too, and it's odd for me to talk about myself for an hour or two.
But and as I said at the beginning of the show, I'm absolutely giddy to have you here, and I'm glad we've made it through without breaking into killer laughter, because the last time I was with you for an hour in a small thing, Keri and I were both invited by Mr. Tim Moore, who I believe is listening.
Hi, Tim Moore.
Tim is one of the tallest trees down in the San Diego community now, working on pulling cabaret forces together. And he had his awards presentation at the beginning of the year that we both went to. We were invited VIPs, I might add. We were visiting Los Angeles VIPs. And we drove back together, and I've not laughed so hard probably since college. We were just completely
You were laughing
insane.
at me.
I was laughing at you. And we don't need to go into all the specifics, but you can be dizzy, girl.
I would still be driving, I'm sure.
I know.
If it wasn't for you.
Oh, my God.
I'm quite directionally challenged.
Yeah.
But it was fun, and I'm glad you were with me, because it was kind of a scary drive home otherwise.
And we did have brownies that night.
We had a half a brownie that I had left over that I could not get to, that I was desperately trying to get to. And
yes. And not magic brownies or anything. We're just talking about brownies.
Just a brown, because I desperately needed chocolate.
Non-enhanced brownies.
Chocolate I hadn't eaten, couldn't eat in the dress. So you have to, when you afterwards you're starving.
Yeah. And, whenever a girl needs me to be the protector, we know we're in serious trouble. But, boy, that was a funny night. We had so much fun. And we're about at our sign-off point, girl. Is there anything?
We didn't even talk about any of the ex-boyfriend stuff that you asked me permission for, all the stuff.
I said to Keri, I said, can I tell about the night that I went on your first date with, can I mention him? Of course.
Yeah, sure. We're friends.
Jeffrey Tozer. I had just this is how I remember it. I had just gotten hired to take over booking the newly rebuilt Cinegrill after Michael Feinstein's management decided to leave the Hollywood Roosevelt. They had built this new room, beautiful new room at the Hollywood Roosevelt, and had been a Feinstein's for about a year, and then they decided to leave, and Michael's management hired me and Clive Davis's son to run it. And that had just happened, and so I was celebratory, and it was Keri's birthday that week. And they, in my position at the Cinegirl, they gave us free tickets to the opening night of Hairspray, which was opening at the Pantages. So we had set it up that my friend Rick Starr, my beloved friend Rick Starr, that we talk about a lot here, and Keri and I would go to celebrate her birthday by going to the opening night of Hairspray. Mm-hmm. And Rick was not well, so he decided not to go. So I said, do you have somebody else you want to invite? And
Actually, you didn't.
Oh.
I had somebody else I wanted to invite. You said, I called you because you said Rick can't come, he's not feeling well. And I said, well, do you still have that extra ticket? Because I thought that that as I said, instead of spending my night with all gay men, that I would throw a straight one into the mix, maybe,
Right.
if he was available. So I called and said, you want to go to Hairspray?
So it was the first time in my life I'd been on a first date with a couple. And
It was not a date.
It was totally
No,
a date.
it wasn't. It became a date later. That
and
night
I
wasn't
learned
a
the
date.
true meaning of the word third wheel. I can't
That
remember
was
the
always
last
me.
time I was so uncomfortable.
That is so not true.
Keri was wearing above the thigh go-go boots.
And why, Clifford? Because you said it's a theme night, you have to dress 60s. And
Right.
guess who was the only one dressed 60s? Was
but
that a practical
in a
joke, or
6-inch
was that?
miniskirt and thigh-high go-go boots that I can recall Jeffrey never took his eyes off your legs the entire night.
Okay, seriously, was that a setup joke, or did you... Was
No,
that real?
I
You
mean,
really thought it was
no,
theme
I
night?
was
Because you
a
weren't dressed
homo.
60s either.
No, but I don't do that. But a lot of people were. A lot of people
I didn't see anybody.
But nobody quite like you.
I like the themes.
Anyway, but you continued to be with Mr. Tozer for quite a while after that.
Yeah, we did for a while. It was,
Yeah.
It was a
and
good
he's
run.
a lovely guy. So
Married,
it was
happily
just
married.
Happily married. It was just
I do that for
funny
people. I send them
it
off
was
to be
just
married.
funny, like, here I am on their date. Anyway, so with that, I guess we leave you. That's a good way to... We could have done so much worse.
There's so many more things we didn't get to cover, but I do
you know what
wanna-
I do want to say. What my one party thing I want to say that I have you here with me is that as history knows, I was one of the creators of the original open mic. It was largely my idea to build it around Mary Jo Mundy at Tom Rollo's Gardenia. And so I have always felt a certain pride and ownership and connection to it. And I am absolutely thrilled with how it has evolved under your tutelage. I have an enormous affection for you, an enormous affection for it, and an enormous respect for how you run it and what you've done with it. And I applaud you for that.
Thank you, and I wish I could take credit, but I honestly have to say I have been so lucky with the people that come, the pianists that play for us, but that group of people is so warm and welcoming, and they have just turned it into this amazing supportive environment for people to come try out new stuff. Sometimes it's a performance night, sometimes they're trying out new things. It just we use it
Tuesday
for everything.
nights at Tom Rollo's Gardenia on Santa Monica Boulevard right near La Brea.
And it's just called open. That was
La Brea.
actually, Todd said, just call it an open mic. I was coming up with clever titles because you're so good with that. And he goes, call it an open mic so people will
Right.
know what it is. And 2 out of the 3 people, one will find it online and one will have said, I saw the sign
Right,
that said Singer's Open Mic.
right.
So I thank him for that too.
All right, well, let me thank the people involved in the broadcast here. First of
All
all,
right.
thank you, Keri, for
Thank
being
you for
here.
having me.
It's wonderful to see you,
My sweet Clifford.
as always. And I'd like to thank my landlord here at the Global Voice Broadcasting, Mr. Todd Murray.
Gorgeous
And
Todd Murray.
Gorgeous Todd, Dreamboat Todd Murray, as
Dreamboat.
we call him.
My friend calls his show Swoon, not Croon.
That's funny. And our intern, Peter, and the operations manager here at Global Voice Broadcasting, Mr. Gabe Harder, who is also my in-studio engineer, and my beloved pal, Mark Saltarelli, who always does all my great video clips
Yes, hi,
for
Mark.
me, who's working on a new movie in New
Ooh.
York. So,
I loved his last one.
all right, thank you all. See you next week.
Bye.
And so it seems that we have met before and laughed before and loved before, but who knows?